Yeah, this is Jonathan Brooks, and this is my presentation for my WebQuest. When we first were given this assignment, I had a hard time figuring out what project I would want to create. And then I thought back to my elementary school experiences, and I could remember creating an artifact and wanted to try to create something more modern from my experiences. So this is why I chose to do an archaeological dig. This is in order to get students to research archaeological facts and connect those with ancient Egypt. They will also be creating their own artifact using key information they've gained in the research. Then the students will do a presentation of the findings after they've done the archaeological dig. This is for grade level 6 through 8. It's a social studies lesson. Let's go ahead and move on to the introduction. So I wanted to kind of make it fun, so I decided to kind of play with it and make it seem like the Smithsonian Institute asked for the students to decode the artifacts. I really want the students to really focus on the connection between artifacts and eternal life. So I have some specific links to try to get them to understand that. I also want them to understand the cultural significance of those artifacts so that they can compare them to what we would look at in modern times as cultural artifacts that we would want to be remembered by. So the task for these students is to do some research on ancient Egypt as well as specific ancient Egypt artifacts. They will also want to take a tour of a pyramid. Once they've done that and kind of research the cultural significance of artifacts to ancient Egypt, they will then start working on creating their own artifact, something that connects to their culture, their way of life at this time. Then they will also have fun and do an archaeological dig, and then they'll interview the person that created the artifact that they've discovered, and then they'll present their findings to the rest of the audience as well as the Smithsonian representative, which will be the teacher. So, first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to start researching some things about ancient Egypt and artifacts. So, let's go ahead and move to the first link. First link is, of course, going to take them straight to the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. Here I just want them to kind of get a general idea of the connection between the artifacts and the eternal life that ancient Egypt believed in. So here I want them to just kind of take a look around, maybe find out a little bit about mummies, look at a map to understand where this is all taking place. There's some other great links over here and just some general overall good things for them to go search for. Then we're going to move on to a teacher's page that I had found that seemed like a good place to go and kind of just get some additional information, lots of links and interactive links for them to really play around on, and tons of information for the students to kind of guide their own research and really discover and look for things that they find interesting. Then we're going to tour a pyramid. So this is part of PBS, the NOVA, and I absolutely think this is fun for students because they can actually go and take a look at a pyramid, and then they can actually start touring the inside of the pyramid. So you can just kind of scroll around and you get to see what the inside of a pyramid would look like. And so I kind of want the students to kind of just see the basics of inside of a pyramid. And there's some other ones that it goes into. So once they complete the general research, then the students will start working on a rough draft of their artifact. And I want them to utilize the knowledge they've gained about ancient Egypt and create an artifact that tells that story, but also connects to their culture. So of course I want them to do a rough draft and then come back to the materials table we have at the back of a classroom and select materials that they want to use. I don't want to limit them to only using certain types of materials. I really want the students to try to use their own amounts of creativity and have fun with this part of it. And then once all the students have completed, hopefully this will probably take a couple of days to complete all those artifacts. And once they've done that, I will split the team into 2 teams, and we will bury those students' artifacts in a couple of sand piles so that the students can actually kind of pretend like they're digging for artifacts. And whichever artifact the students discover, they have to go and interview the creator of that artifact to learn about why the student chose the things that they did, why they chose to design it the way they did, why they chose the materials the way they did, and also to connect it to what they learned about ancient Egypt, and as well as connecting it to the student themselves. Once they've done that, they will move on to the final step, which is to present this findings to the Smithsonian Institute and have some fun explaining what they learned about culture, what they learned about ancient Egypt, and what they've learned about the creation of those artifacts. So what I'm looking for in the evaluation on this, below standard, approaching standard, meet standard, and above standard. I want them to connect it with the research. So in the build of the actual artifact, I want to make sure that they're showing that artifact does connect to the research that they've been doing. And I want to see that they've actually tried to be creative. Again, creativity is really hard to grade, but I want to see that the student put effort in. Doesn't always need to be the greatest artifact that they've ever created, but I want to see that they did put some effort into trying to create something fun. I do want them to use relevant descriptions. I want them to bring in facts and support what they're saying, especially with their findings. In the presentations, I want the students to go through all the main points that they've covered. I want it to be clear, and I want the students to have a logical order. Of course, eye contact when they're up in front of the audience. I want to also be looking at their presentation skills. Are they using the proper volume in their voice? Are they presenting the information appropriately? And finally, how well did they work with the other student? Did that student actually try to engage and learn about the creator of the artifact? Did they really spend time with that part of it? And did also they compare and contrast cultural values with those of ancient Egypt and the student that they interviewed? And then just kind of a nice little fun little way to finish it off, Smithsonian thanking the students. And also a place that students can go local. It's not local here, but it's in San Jose. There's an Egyptian museum. So if the students had the ability or capabilities of traveling, they could go to this museum. I was looking for something closer, but I could not find much in the local Central Valley. But I'll continue to look for something a little more close because San Jose might not be possible for most of the students that I work with. And then, of course, Teacher Page just goes over the standards that this WebQuest covers, so the student, they can make sure that they can have those posted so they stay out of trouble. And that is it for my WebQuest. Thank you very much.